Hi, I'm Lisa Leiter. In Chicago Business Today, for-profit colleges. Yesterday, the Senate held a hearing on for-profit colleges like Chicago area-based DeVry and Career Education. The hearing was in response to some proposed federal rules that would limit these schools' access to federal financial aid funds unless they can prove their programs improve job prospects. The new rules would also require these colleges to tell students how many graduate and get jobs, and also strengthen penalties for recruiters who mislead applicants. No other education issue has ever generated more public comments, more than 90,000 in all. I sat down with Morningstar senior analyst Todd Young to talk more about this story. So Todd, at issue here are federal financial aid dollars. The government says that these schools mislead students about the kind of job prospects they might have after graduating. The schools say otherwise. What came out of yesterday's hearing?
Well, the hearing yesterday was a little bit more of the same that we've seen with the past few hearings. They've been very negative on the for-profit space, but I think the big key that the Senate Help Committee is missing is the fact that they need to look at all schools. The outcomes at traditional schools, your not-for-profit schools and your private universities are not drastically different from what you see from for-profits once you separate out the demographics that the for-profit schools serve. They typically serve lower income and first-generation college students, so they're going to have lower outcomes in that measure.
The stocks rallied after yesterday's hearing. DeVry and Career Education, both local companies in the for-profit college space, both their stocks up more than 5% at one point. What are investors betting will happen now with these rules, which have been delayed until next year?
I think what you're seeing is that the regulatory fears that are out there maybe subsided a little bit after the hearing. There was a lot of postulating back and forth between the Republicans and the Democrats. And Senator McCain actually made a statement that hopefully things in January will be better. He was implying that once they take over the Congress, that they would shift the focus away from just peppering the for-profit institutions and focus on broader educational issues.
Education Department Chief Arne Duncan, obviously from Chicago, he's saying he wants to stamp out the kind of recruitment practices that may have misled students and to impose penalties on recruiters who mislead students about their prospects. What do you think is the likely outcome of these rules going forward?
Secretary Duncan has been very, at the point of saying, hey, we need more and increased regulation. I think we'll see something come out. But what we have with the current regulation is maybe not the best policy out there, and I think there have been some strong cases made for why it's not. So I think investors are maybe thinking that it could be re-looked at and revisited.
So what would the impact be then on companies like DeVry and Career Education? Are they really at risk of losing a tremendous amount of revenue here?
The Department of Education, when they proposed the rule, used different data than they're actually going to use when the rule goes into effect. So their analysis of what the actual outcome is kind of an approximation. It's not exactly what will happen. And that's part of the concerns, that there's not this due process to let everyone find out what the actual impact is going to be.
What do you think for these companies long term? What's your outlook?
I think if the rule goes through as proposed, you're not going to see a huge hit to the company's financials. For most of the schools, I think you're going to see a slowing in enrollment growth, potentially a slight dip in their enrollment base. And what the market really is implying right now is that there's going to be a huge cut to their enrollment base, which would have severe consequences to their financial results. I just don't see that as being the case right now.
Okay. Well, Todd, thanks for joining us today. An interesting story we'll be following.
Thank you very much.
And that's all for this edition of Chicago Business Today. For all of your breaking news, be sure to check back with chicagobusiness.com. Have a great weekend. We'll see you back here on Monday.